The life of Franz Nopcsa is itself like a complex fractured fossil almost impossible to fully piece back together. He was not only a scientific genius unraveling the hidden puzzles of dinosaur evolution but also a secret spy drifting across the borders of multiple nations and even an ambitious dreamer who once sought to claim a royal throne. Beneath his cold, noble and haughty outer demeanor lay an insatiable burning hunger for knowledge and a quiet resolute tenderness hidden deep within his soul. Tonight, accompanied by soft faint glow, we step into the legendary life of this Hungarian baron, a life filled with extreme contrasts, dreamlike melancholy and untold mystery. If human life is regarded as a long endless game of strategy, Franz Nopcsa undoubtedly chose the most dangerous path of all. He dug for the secrets of primeval giant beasts amid raging wartime flames while wandering constantly on the precarious edge of real-world political power. The tangled layers of his multiple identities and the cruel abrupt turns of fate eventually led him to that sorrowful regrettable end. Let us walk slowly alongside this gentle narration, brushing away the dust of history to touch the deep hidden loneliness and burning longing locked inside his soul. Franz Nopcsa is a name greatly underestimated by his era, yet powerful enough to leave anyone who knows his story utterly astonished. His lifetime spanned across scientific exploration, political intrigue, heartfelt love and bitter betrayal, every fragment of his journey brimming with intense emotional tension. When he pulled the trigger inside his Vienna residence, he took away not only his own life but also countless closely guarded secrets belonging to an entire age. Find a comfortable resting posture, settle your mind and follow this quiet story that requires no deliberate memorization to witness the broken echoes of his tragic fate. On a cold, gloomy dawn in early 20th century Vienna, two sharp gunshots tore through the heavy silence of an ordinary residence. This tragic moment marked far more than a simple suicide. It stood as the quiet ending of a whole bygone age. The man who fell was a Hungarian baron with deep, thoughtful eyes, a gifted geological mind capable of perceiving the body temperature of dinosaurs that lived millions of years ago. Franz Nopcsa stood as a symbol of brilliant wisdom within academic circles, yet remained an unsettling, unpredictable outsider in the complicated world of politics. He worked as a covert spy, bore the title of noble baron, and lived as a bold visionary who nearly ascended to the royal crown of Albania. Tonight, let the soft, gentle glow of flickering firelight stay with us as we walk fully into the untold story of his life. He was a man who chased ancient fossil remains amid chaotic, turbulent times, only to lose his own soul in the harsh reality of the world. Now relax your shoulders, ease your mind and let your consciousness drift along the faint, intangible sea breeze, traveling back to that uncertain, volatile era full of endless twists of fate. In the summer of 1895, while most young noblemen spent their days leisurely hunting on private manors, 18-year-old Nopcsa discovered a single ancient bone on his family's ancestral lands in Transylvania, a discovery that would alter the entire course of his life. It was a dinosaur skull, unbelievably small in size, resembling a miniature version of the colossal prehistoric beasts that once ruled the earth. This unexplainable, unnatural anomaly embedded itself firmly into his thoughts, never fading away. Franz Nopcsa refused to follow the traditional path arranged by his family to indulge in idle, comfortable nobility. Instead, he devoted himself wholeheartedly to self-studying geology and comparative anatomy. He pioneered the revolutionary theory of island dwarfism, which perfectly explained why local dinosaurs evolved into such miniature forms and for the first time injected clear evolutionary logic into the cold, silent world of fossil research. Yet within an academic circle obsessed with family background, inherited status and rigid school divisions, this lonely, aloof young scholar was treated like a foreign heretic, stepping unwelcome into a sacred chapel. He dressed in perfectly tailored formal evening wear, yet spent countless hours climbing steep, dangerous cliff faces, searching for forgotten fossil teeth hidden by the passage of time. To him, the ancient living creatures from tens of millions of years ago felt far more genuine, sincere and real than the hollow, polite, empty small talk of aristocratic banquets. During these early, passionate years of scientific pursuit, he crossed paths with a young man named Bajazid Elmas, an Albanian youth who would grow to become the only soft, vulnerable spot hidden deep inside his guarded heart. As cracks began spreading wider within the fading Austro-Hungarian Empire, Nopcsa slowly realized that the shifting political boundaries of the real world were far more treacherous and unpredictable than the slow movement of the Earth's crust. He held deep, sincere affection for the primitive, wild, untamed land of Albania, where he was no longer confined by the restrictions of his noble title but respected and honored as a profound, wise scholar driven by the desire to protect this vulnerable land. Nopcsa began moving cautiously between intelligence agencies in Vienna and local Albanian guerrilla forces. He gathered confidential military information in secret while nurturing an almost crazed ambitious plan. He dreamed of becoming the rightful king of Albania. Nopcsa firmly believed only through his profound wisdom and carefully arranged noble political marriages could this fragmented war-torn land gain lasting peace and genuine tranquility. Inside his private diary he drafted detailed outlines for a national constitution and even planned the layout of the royal palace, every detail shaped with the stubborn persistence of a pure idealist. This constant split between multiple identities weighed upon him, carrying psychological pressure beyond ordinary human endurance. By day he engaged in heated academic debates discussing whether ancient dinosaurs possessed the ability to regulate their own body temperature. By night he sat alone beneath dim lamplight, secretly drawing detailed military maps of Albania. Bajazet stayed faithfully by his side, serving both as his personal secretary and the steady anchor holding his wandering soul grounded amid that turbulent, chaotic era. This bond, surpassing the boundaries of master and servant and ordinary friendship, became his only source of warm comfort amid the cold, ruthless schemes of imperial politics. The outbreak of the First World War completely shattered Nopcsa's royal ambitions, pushing him helplessly to the very edge of his destined path. Serving as a secret agent for the Austro-Hungarian Empire, he traveled tirelessly across rugged mountain terrains, utilizing his exceptional geological knowledge to guide military troops through complex, unfamiliar terrain. Yet when the war finally ended, the once mighty great empire crumbled into pieces, leaving Nopcsa stranded, homeless and adrift. His family manor in Transylvania was officially confiscated and his precious lifelong fossil collection faced the threat of being scattered and lost forever. The overwhelming sense of falling from the highest peak into desperate emptiness left him engulfed in bitter cold. Throughout Vienna's lonely winter nights he was forced to sell off the fossil specimens he had cherished his entire life, ancient remains he once regarded as equal to his own soul, now reduced to mere bargaining chips to sustain daily survival. With every fossil he parted with it felt as if a piece of his own soul was being cut away, his innate noble pride repeatedly humbled and wounded by harsh poverty. Even trapped in such desperate hardship he retained his astonishing intellectual creativity, continuing to write pioneering academic papers on cutting-edge paleontological research. Yet within his once sharp, piercing eyes the fiery obsession with political power gradually faded, replaced by unfathomable deep exhaustion. He began speaking frequently about death, not with fear or dread but as the ultimate peaceful release from a life filled with endless struggle. By 1933 heavy oppressive political tension hung thick in the air across Vienna and Nopcsa's financial situation had collapsed completely beyond repair. He suffered from multiple chronic illnesses, his physical vitality worn down and drained by years of constant displacement and restless wandering. What pained him even more deeply was that Bajazet, his lifelong loyal companion, also fell seriously ill, and the two men were reduced to utter poverty with no means of relief. Once a man who once dreamed of wearing a royal crown, Nopcsa could not bear the thought of slowly fading away, trapped in mediocrity, lingering illness and humble reliance on the kindness of others. He carefully planned the final act of his life. Just like the fossil specimens, he dedicated his life to studying, believing every ending ought to be complete, profound and meaningful. He wrote an eerily calm farewell letter to the police, clearly explaining his final decision in cold, rational detail. Afterwards he quietly slipped sleeping medicine into Bajazet's tea, the last cruel gentle kindness he could offer to the person who had stayed faithfully beside him through every storm. Once Bajazet drifted into eternal unconscious sleep, Nopcsa dressed himself in his most dignified formal attire. Sitting quietly alone at his desk he gently touched for the last time the unfinished manuscripts piled before him, writings on ancient dinosaurs, on the future of Albania and on the broken unspoken dreams of quiet love. Then he raised the gun and pulled the trigger, sealing away all his genius, ambition, madness and sorrow within that grey, misty early morning hour. Franz Nopcsa departed from the world, yet his groundbreaking theory of island dwarfism remains an unshakable fundamental principle within modern paleontology. The fossil specimens he once sold have scattered across renowned museums in London, Budapest and Vienna, continuing to narrate the untold stories of that long-lost prehistoric era. To every visitor some regard him as a failed politician, others label him as a delusional wild dreamer. Yet in the quiet stillness of the late night, if you open his handwritten manuscripts, you will discover a soul incredibly gentle and profoundly lonely, one who spent his whole life striving to find stable order amid a chaotic, turbulent universe. His entire journey resembled a search spanning hundreds of millions of years, only to finally sink into the muddy turmoil of harsh reality. Our story draws to a close here tonight. Franz Nopcsa has finally found lasting peace within the earth he loved so deeply. Broken royal fantasies, complicated spy codes and Unfulfilled ambitions have all drifted away with the passing wind. Now close your eyes, let the heavy weight of fate soften into gentle quiet tides carrying you into a dream free from conflict, struggle and sorrow. The firelight has faded into dimness. Good night.